Devin Erickson. He was handed a life sentence for the STEM school shooting in Colorado. Since Erickson was 18 years old and an adult at the time of the shooting, he faced a mandatory life sentence. Erickson was convicted of all 46 charges against him for the shooting, which left Kendrick Castillo dead and 8 others wounded. Castillo was among the group of students trying to stop the gunman. The judge imposed hundreds of additional years in prison in addition to life in prison, without the possibility of parole. Alec McKinney was the second student involved in the shooting, testified on behalf of the prosecution in Erickson's trial. McKinney is already serving a life sentence. He was 16 years old at the time of the shooting and could become eligible for parole after about 20 years in prison under a program for juvenile offenders.
I believe we share equal responsibility for everything that happened. No one tried to stop anyone. No one forced anyone into this. We were both mutually agreeing.
Before the judge's ruling, Erickson displayed little emotion as victims, and their families testified in the courtroom, which included STEM school students, teachers, and parents. Several students testified that they have suffered from PTSD since the attack, and one told the judge she's sure that Erickson and McKinney's intention was to slay hundreds of students.
It was narrowed down to Devin disliking the classmates he had in that classroom, saying that that was the most ideal place to do it because that was where most kids he hated would be at the same time.
On the afternoon of May 7, 2019, Devin Erickson and Alec McKinney broke open a gun safe with a crowbar and an axe. The duo concealed weapons inside a guitar case and a backpack. The two then returned to school, where they targeted classroom 107 and entered together through separate doors. Devin claims that upon seeing Alec McKinney reach for one of the guns, he shouted for the classroom inhabitants to get down before being rushed at by 2 students. Erickson says that the impact of the students prompted the weapon to fire, and he did not intend for anyone to be harmed or shot at. Alec McKinney was sentenced to life in prison last year, but could be eligible for parole after 20 years since he was a juvenile. Devin Erickson was sentenced to life in prison plus 1,282 years. Skybush. The 19-year-old man entered Forest High School in Ocala, Florida, armed with a shotgun on the 19th anniversary of the Columbine Massacre, and the very same day students across the nation participated in a walkout to protest gun violence. Bush shot at a locked door where pellets ricocheted off the door and wounded a 17-year-old male student. After entering, he went to the bathroom, put on a tactical vest and gloves, then walked into the hallway where he shot the door. He dropped the gun and surrendered to one of his former teachers, Kelly McManus-Panasuk. Moments later, he was taken down by a school resource officer and arrested just 3 minutes after he opened fire. Speaking to detectives, Bush said the motive was to inflict fear in students, but he did not intend to harm anyone. He told police that he purchased the shotgun in a private sale a week after the Parkland shooting, and that there was no paperwork or background check for the transaction as it was a private sale.
Sky, how'd you get a gun?
I was watching Vice News, and they showed ways how to get a gun, and they are without a background check. They showed gun shows, which they do require background checks, but then they showed this website where you get private sales with anyone in your state.
He added he wanted to do a church shooting at first, but decided to go with the school shooting as it creates more attention. Skybush was sentenced to 30 years in prison. TJ Lane. Lane is serving 3 life sentences after pleading guilty to the murders in Chardon High School in February 2012 when he was 17 years old. He used a pistol to fire 10 shots at a group of students in Chardon High School's cafeteria, killing Demetrius Hewlin, Russell King, as well as Daniel Parmenter. Despite evidence he suffered psychosis and hallucinations, he was found competent to be tried as an adult. During his trial, Lane smirked and smiled as victims' relatives spoke. During his sentencing, he wore a t-shirt with the word killer written on it.
My family will move on, not you. You have ruined your life. You don't know kind. You're evil. I will have to eventually forgive you. Otherwise, you will haunt me. You will never, ever be in my thoughts after this. Never.
Lane didn't take this lady's statement seriously and made a quick repulsive statement by showing the victim's family the middle finger. TJ Lane was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Caleb Sharp. He has been sentenced to 40 years to life in prison for slaying a classmate and injuring 3 others in a 2017 school shooting. Sharp pled guilty to harming many students who were in a hallway when he opened fire at Freeman High School 5 years ago, north of Rockford, Washington. The day of his sentencing, the courtroom was full, with dozens more watching online or watching from an overflow room. Before his sentencing, more than 200 people shared impact statements, urging Judge Michael Price to impose the maximum sentence. Some called for life in prison or even the death penalty. Washington's Supreme Court says judges may not impose the death penalty on anyone and may not sentence juveniles to life without parole. Sharp's attorney asked for a 20-year sentence. State prosecutors asked for 35 years to life.
The defendant, Caleb Sharp, in the state of Washington, on or about September 13, 2017, did intentionally assault. Sure, the court would accept your plea today and would find you guilty as charged.
Price sentenced Sharp to 40 years, saying Sharp meticulously planned the attack and lied to his parents and a school counselor in the days leading up to the shooting.
I spent a lot of time thinking, what exactly would I say when I did get a chance to speak? Now that I'm here, there's really only one thing I can say, and that's I'm sorry.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. Thanks for watching and catch you in the next one.